What's up, guys? Welcome to Nitty Gritty Sports. We're finally back. The off season's coming to a close, and college football season's right around the corner. With that, today we're going to be talking. We're both going to give y'all what we think are two upset teams or a couple of upset teams that might be able to push through in their conference, win the conference, and maybe even fight for a spot in the playoffs. Who knows? Leading off with that, Drew, what do you think? What's your one or two teams that are sleeper teams for you, and who you think can make a run for their conference going into it?
Yeah, man. One team that just always comes to mind, and just because of their location, they don't get talked about a lot. You don't really know a whole lot about this team. There's a lot of people you can go and ask out in public and be like, what do you think of this team? And they're not going to be able to tell you much about it. With that being said, I like the Utah Utes. They're a team that is coming off a pretty impressive season. They did have 4 losses, but for them to have 3 losses and make a New Year's Six Bowl, I think is pretty impressive. They do bring a lot of guys back, including 8 starters on offense and 5 on defense. They bring back Cam Rising, quarterback. He wasn't the starting quarterback to start of the season last year, but they bring him in. I think it was the 3rd or 4th game. They had a guy that wouldn't get the job done. Cam Rising comes in and does a pretty good job, and they've been rolling with him ever since. And he's returning. They also return. They're also bringing back leading rusher Tavion Thomas, a guy who had 1,100 rushing yards last season and 21 touchdowns. I mean, the dude was a big part of that Utah offense. He's coming back, and they bring back, some receivers. They're bringing back some linemen. And Utah's just a team that they might not be the most talented, but Kyle Whittingham, the coach, always seems to get the most out of his recruits. They recruit, I did not know this, but they recruit, maybe like top 30, top 40 each year. They're not very high at all. They're like middle of the line in the Pac-12 when it comes to recruiting. But they do get the most out of the people they do bring in. And they do have some talent on the team and a lot of experience going in. As far as the defense goes, they're bringing back 5 starters, like I said. They are losing 2 of their inside linebackers, including Devin Lloyd, an All-American inside backer, and he's not going to be easy to replace and won't be replaced this season. You're definitely going to see Utah maybe take a little bit of a step back on defense, and that might be the only concern when you look at them, because they weren't really a great defense last year. They were just good enough to, really be taken serious, and I don't know how that's going to play into this season. They do have a couple tough games in their schedule. They do open up on the road at Florida this year. That's not going to be an easy game. Now, I do think Utah is currently in a better state than Florida. I think Utah, honestly, if I had to pick, would beat Florida in week 1, but anything is possible. That's no guaranteed win at all. They also play a couple other teams, UCLA, who I think is going to be a lot better this year. Chip Kelly's got a lot of his guys in. They also play USC. We all know about USC bringing in Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, and a bunch of other recruits. A very talented team this year. I don't know how they're going to gel together, but it would not surprise me at all to see USC be a top 15 team. And obviously they play Oregon. So they have a lot of games they play this year where even if they just win a couple of those, they'll be in a good spot to make the playoffs. And they can maybe even drop a game to UCLA, Oregon, or USC teams that I think are going to be in the top 20. And maybe still find a way to win their conference championship and sneak in the playoffs. So that's just one of the teams I've been keeping my eye on. I think Utah set up pretty nicely to have a good season. And I do think they have that slack where they could lose a game and still have a chance to get in the playoffs. You think of teams in the top 8, or you think of 8 teams, you would have to put Utah somewhere in that top 8 in terms of having the best chance of making the playoffs. That doesn't mean that they're, a lot for the playoffs, but I just don't think I don't think you could put Utah outside of the top 8 in terms of making the playoffs. So they're one of the teams I'm definitely keeping an eye on. A lot of people might agree or disagree just because of their defense. We won't really know until the season kicks off. But anyways, enough about Utah. Aiden, the people that have been here on this channel for a little bit have seen a Utah video we posted a little while back, and Aiden wasn't exactly the most popular amongst the Utah fans. Anyways, so I know you didn't pick Utah. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about the team you picked and who we should be keeping an eye on that could surprise a lot of us.
Yeah, Utah's a good team, don't get me wrong, but compared to the caliber the fans think they're on versus the caliber they're actually on is 2 completely different levels. And, I just had to let those fans know that. But like you were saying, Devin Lloyd was a huge piece to their defense. He had like 8, 9, 10 picks. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was definitely the centerpiece of that defense. And then also in the Pac-12, going to what you were saying about them making the playoffs, they're going to have to beat Oregon. They can drop another game in that Pac-12, but they're going to have to beat Oregon because it's going to be between those 2 teams, especially if Utah's going to be as good as you say they are. I'm not a big fan of them at all. So I'm not. I don't think they're going to do too well. But we'll just have to wait and see. The team I picked though is NC State. The ACC's been open the last couple of years. Clemson's shown that they're definitely vulnerable now more than ever. Quarterback situation is a little bit iffy. The coaching staff's been a little bit of heat for recruitment and the hesitation to transition to the new age of recruitment and all this other stuff. They're still doing a great job. Don't get me wrong, but compared to the Clemson of 3-4 years ago and that dynasty that they had, they're not the same at all. As far as NC State goes, they finished 6-2 in the ACC and 9-3 overall, 7-0 at home. So they played great at home last year, and they got pretty much all of their good players returning offensively and defensively. We thought this was one of the best teams that NC State had last year, and they're just getting more experience and bringing on more talent. The young guys that come in are more and more talented every year, so just add on to the experience of these guys who are now competing in the ACC. They're really up in the mix, playing in these big games in their conference, so that's giving them confidence as well, knowing that they can play with the top dogs in their conference. So I definitely think they're a team to watch out for, but they did drop a couple of weird games to like Miami, for example. I can't remember the other team off the top of my head. They have Wake Forest at home last year. That's one team that they lost to. They definitely need to get that back. If they can squeeze through Clemson, they'll definitely be in shape to win the ACC.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I had a feeling you were going to pick NC State, so I kind of just hesitated on it. I just had a weird feeling you were going to pick them. But I do agree. They do have some 50-50 games that I think they're going to really need to win this year if they really want to, get to where they want to go. Clemson, people can say what they want about Clemson. Overall, Clemson's still a very, very, very talented team and a well-coached team. With that being said, you can have a very talented team, but if your quarterback play is not good, and that's the best way I could put it for Clemson last year, the quarterback play was just not good. And that's the nicest way I could put it. Clemson's going to be very beatable, and I think teams like NC State could really take advantage of that like they did last year, and maybe just give Clemson a run for their money and maybe find their spot in the ACC title game.
Yeah, they just got to make it a dirty game against Clemson, and like you were saying, when a team like Clemson relies so heavily on their quarterback play, and they almost, I feel like, got used to being able to lean on that quarterback play a little heavy, with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. That's two legendary collegiate quarterbacks right there. And then they had DJ Ukulele, and he crapped the bed. Let's just be real. He just crapped the bed. Like, sometimes the moment's too big.
It really is, man. That was just weird seeing that because you see DJ. He had a couple starts the year prior where I guess Trevor Lawrence went down. He came in, played great, and then I guess when the lights got on him and he became the starter, it just seemed like he forgot how to play football. I mean, seriously. And I saw it when he played UGA week 1. I'm like, this guy is not as good as I thought he was, and that just kind of was the the tale for the rest of the season. So Clemson really has to get that figured out, and unfortunately for them, after watching their spring game and a little bit of that, it doesn't look like it's going to be much better this year. DJ just did not look good in the spring game. They do have a couple running backs that I do think are going to be a little bit better this year. I do like Will Shipley, but I really do like the NC State pick. I really do think they can compete with Clemson, and they're just going to have to win some of those 50-50 games. Even if they do drop one, they're going to have to find a way to maybe pull off 10 or 11 wins if they have a chance. And who knows, it'd be hard for see a one-loss NC State team get in the playoffs, but anything's possible. You just don't know what else is going to happen in the college football world. Yeah. But those are definitely two teams.
One more thing I'll say about Clemson. One more thing I'll say about Clemson. When you have an organization or a team like that that's built off culture the way that Clemson is, there's only a few college teams that are built like that. Even NFL teams, you see it even less, but like Alabama, Georgia, like the Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day, not the last year or two, but like these teams had a culture, you know what I'm saying? You knew what you were getting into whenever you played these teams, and Clemson still got that. I don't want to like come on here like I'm dogging Clemson and they're not going to, handle business and go on a revenge tour, but I just think NC State is experienced. Their players have that confidence, knowing that they can play in the mix with the big dogs in the ACC, and I think they're going to come back with a vengeance this year. So it'll be fun to watch the ACC this year for sure. It's a lot more competitive than in recent history.
I agree. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I'm really excited to finally get back in the recording chair and record a video for you guys. It's been a long time. We took a long off season. whether it was planned or unplanned. It is what it is. You know, we're back now, and hopefully, you know, the season gets rolling around, we'll be able to kind of start uploading like we used to. We obviously have busy schedules.
100%.
We have busy schedules, but we're going to have to find a way to work around that, and we'll work around it. For those of you guys, if you're still watching this now and you're watching this back in the day, we really appreciate your support more than you guys will ever know. This is going to be a long journey to get to where we want to get, but I do feel like we'll get there, and it starts with us being consistent, and that's what we're going to work on. But if you guys have any other video suggestions, leave it below in the comments. We'll try to get to it. We still are in the works of trying to figure out a schedule and figuring out what kind of videos we're going to post throughout the season and the off season leading up to the regular season week 1, but we'll get it figured out. Anyways, guys, that's it. It's getting a little long of a video, so I'm going to cut it here. I'll see you guys later.